White House just released their AI action plan, their roadmap for winning the AI race and keeping American dominance and artificial intelligence models, all of that. So, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into it and just start dissecting it, really understand where our government is going, and also trying to figure out how we can contribute, where we can position ourselves to really make an impact in our country. So let's just dive into it. Intro, I think this is on the main page also, but yeah, I think we are in a race, and the winner, the stakes are big because kind of like how in the space race, whoever set the rules and whoever got to space first was the one that set the rules. It's the same thing here, where whoever pushes out the best models is the one that, in a sense, controls truth, which is terrifying if you think about it, unless you have the right strategy. Let's look at this. So there's three pillars of accelerating innovation. Okay, there are three pillars of this plan: accelerating innovation, building AI infrastructure, leading international diplomacy and security. Let's look at pillar one. So accelerating AI innovation. And I think, like I said, this is true. Whoever has the top models is the one that is on top. That's interesting. AI, America must invent and embrace productivity enhancing AI uses that the world wants to emulate. No pressure, but big ass. Basically, he wants us to pioneer AI practices so that the rest of the world follows suit. No pressure. I think that is true. We may be practitioners and adopters of technology, but really it is the private sector that's driving everything. Let's keep looking. I I feel like there was some thought put into making this one the first, removing red tape and onerous regulation. There's so many rules that block innovation. There's so many rules that block adoption. I think this could be huge. Ensure that frontier AI protects free speech and American values. That is huge, right? There is a high chance that other countries will start putting out models that are competitive. And the terrifying thing is if we let them control the weights, the biases in the models, then we let them control access to information. We let them control truth, which is not something I really want to trust any country with. Mark Zuckerberg talks about this in the. Mark Zuckerberg talks about this in his interview with Joe Rogan, where he says the best thing we can do is to create these open source models and have a massive selection of models. So it's not just one to rule them all, because then one person controls truth. But we want a ton of them so that they can all balance each other out. People can pull from whichever model they can validate. basically. That's cool. Open source and open weight AI. I've actually never heard of open weight AI. Let's check that out. Oh. Mm. Gotcha. So what they're doing is they're encouraging ones that anyone can access and ones that anybody can pretty much audit. So open weight in the context of AI refers to trained parameters, weights, and biases of a machine learning model. So openly disclosing the weights behind each of the not nodes in each layer, because it's actually the connections between the nodes, and I'm blanking on what that's called, but um, it is the weights. Yeah, sorry. Um, so that's huge because anybody can audit and anybody can start looking into something that's weird. Enable AI adoption. That one makes sense. Nothing really to talk about there. Empower American workers in the age of AI. This is a really interesting one because you've already seen the government roll out a few things. The White House has their AI challenge. There's a task force that was spun up for AI adoption in K through 12 and teaching the next generation of workers to embrace and use artificial intelligence tools and capabilities. But what I haven't seen a lot of that I think is going to be really interesting to see how it rolls out is um, this empowering current American workers in the age of AI. How do we retrain them? How do we get them the skills that they need in order to move forward? And I'm actually going to pull up some Obsidian notes because I'm going to start diving into that directly aligns with something that I wrote for the White House Fellowship. So I really want to make sure that I notate that it's in it directly aligns with the president's artificial intelligence strategy. Okay, cool. So let's keep going. Support next generation manufacturing. Is that just better stuff? What is next generation? Is that like robot augmented? That's actually cool. That's a really good thing to incentivize. I don't know how they're going to incentivize this, but I think transforming manufacturing from a cost driven process to a value driven driver of competitive advantage. You know what? I'll go ahead and pull up. I saw a LinkedIn post that talked about this in terms of chip production in the United States, where, you know what? I'll just go ahead and pull it up. I think I have it saved. Let me see if I can. So yeah, TSMC. Okay. So Howard Yu made this post. I don't know what that means, Lego professor. What does that mean? But really, TSMC $440 million loss at its Arizona factory. And he kind of dives into what makes the culture in Taiwan versus America kind of incompatible um, with a national competitiveness in production. So, what I think is this adopting next generation manufacturing may actually help facilitate America adopting instead of punching in, punching out, um, like caring about one of the big things he says. Yeah, in Arizona, Americans clock out after shifts. In Taiwan, engineers sleep in the fab. In Arizona, decisions need consensus. In Taiwan, orders flow down. In Arizona, it's a job. In Taiwan, it's national service, right? So they see producing a chip as a way to keep their nation competitive. Um, Whereas here, it's a way to keep food on the plate, which nothing wrong with that. But I think, right, this kind of ties back to like a Simon Sinek idea. The why is more important than the what. And so if we can actually if we can show value and focus on the value that we're providing Americans, that we're providing our country, that we're providing to anyone, I think that would be good. And then let's just look at it's a lot of like, unfortunately, a lot of buzzwords. That'd be great. Workforce development. The more you prioritize that, I think the more you show you actually value your people. Resilient supply chain risks are huge. And next generation additive manufacturing Congress 2025. Of course it's Europe. That'll be a cool thing. I could dive into that for a long time, but I want to keep going. So, still in accelerating AI innovation, what they also want to do is support. Oh, they also want to do is invest in AI enabled services. Science. Science. Really cool thing on that. And I know I have it here, but Stanford just released this. I get a lot of my news from LinkedIn. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Stanford just released this, which is an AI tool that writes like a PhD, cites sources, does everything. It's called CoStorm. So check this out. So that'd be a cool thing to check out. Okay, that's got to stop. But you can literally launch, you can have it write an entire paper with 99% factual accuracy and have it robust some of your findings into something professional and verifiable. So I love investing in AI enabled science. And just the tools around that is really exciting. World-class scientific data sets. I love this. I also wish they said maybe scientific data sets implies that it's open, but I think what we're seeing now is that whoever has the best data set, whoever curates the best information, is the person that will win. And that's what people are starting to realize is Tesla is just this behemoth, this sleeping giant, because it's been aggregating information on self-driving for 10 years. It has this huge data set of visual data, of sensory data, of all this stuff that's going to make it, that'll keep it as the pioneer of autonomous driving. And I think it's unfortunate because people with private data sets have an inherent advantage because they can use both the open source data sets and their closed source, their proprietary stuff. And I think it's unfortunate, but I think the more we build out these data sets, the better chance we have at staying competitive, at equipping everyone from academia to the private sector to the military, of actually building the best performing models. I absolutely love that they put this in here. So one of the ways that they want to accelerate AI innovation is to invest in AI interoperability, interpretability, control, and robustness breakthroughs. Next. I don't know. Build an AI evaluations ecosystem. Let's see what that actually means. Oh, even better. We have a big old Pillar 1, accelerate AI innovation. Cool. So now that I know we have this, what I'm going to do is just make a it is Winning the Race Americans AI Action Plan. Cool. So I'm going to make a note real quick, and I want it to be a core idea. But we are going to break down the entire thing. So let's actually start from the top. Office of the President of the United States, America as Action Plan. Message from the President. Today, a new frontier of scientific discovery lies before us, defined by transformative technologies such as artificial intelligence. Breakthrough in these fields have the potential to reshape the global balance of power, spark entirely new industries, and revolutionize the way we work. For sure. As our global competitors race to exploit these technologies, it's a national security imperative for the United States to achieve and maintain unquestioned and unchallenged global technological dominance. To secure our future, we must harness the full power of American innovation. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to start just throwing down like phrases I like, and I'll make a separate section for that. So let's go ahead and national security imperative. Can I not highlight? Oh, whoops. Let's throw that on. Hold on. Okay. So let's go ahead and open this. And as much as I hate Adobe, all right, Adobe, let me check out your summary. Okay. National security imperative. I really like that. Cool. 3 to 14, 14 to 20, 20 to 23. Okay. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so let's check out the introduction. The United States is in a race to achieve global dominance. Wait. Document outlines. I like this. Okay. The United States is in a race to achieve global dominance in artificial intelligence. Whoever has the largest AI ecosystem will set global AI standards and reap broad economic and military benefits. Just like we won the space, this is literally exactly what I said, right? Just like we won the space race, it's imperative that the US and its allies win this race. And I wish they explained the reason is because we need to set the rules. President Trump took a decisive step towards achieving this during his first day in office by signing Executive Order 1419. Let's add a note. To do removing barriers to American leadership in artificial intelligence. Directing the creation of an AI action plan. So this is the action plan resulting from this executive order. Winning the AI race, golden age, human flourishing, economic competitiveness, enable Americans. And develop methods to harness energy and industrial revolution. I mean, that's cool. It will enable new forms of education, media, communication, and information revolution. And it will enable another new intellectual achievements. Unraveling ancient scrolls once thought unreadable, making breakthroughs in scientific and mathematical theory, and creation of new kinds of digital and physical art, a renaissance. So here's what the White House thinks artificial intelligence is going to accomplish within their society. AI will enable Americans to discover new materials, synthesize new chemicals, manufacture drugs, and develop new methods to harness energy, an industrial revolution. It will enable radically new forms of education, media, and communication, an information revolution. And it will enable altogether new intellectual achievements, unraveling ancient scrolls once thought unreadable, making breakthroughs in scientific and mathematical theory, and creating new kinds of digital and physical art, a renaissance. We have an industrial revolution, an information revolution, and a renaissance, all expected to happen in our culture at the same time. What a time to be alive. An industrial revolution. Oh, here we go. Literally exactly what I said. An industrial revolution, an information revolution, and a renaissance all at once. That's the potential that AI presents. The opportunity that stands before us is both inspiring and humbling, and it's ours to seize or lose. That's big because there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers, and America we're just winners. So this is important, and this is something that I think developers need to read, because it's just, you get so tunneled vision as a developer, as a researcher, as a practitioner, no matter what. It's so crazy to look up and just see this. This is why I'm excited about live streaming it. This is why I want to make this like a video that's accessible to people, is it's more than just you, right? It's more than just whoever you work for. This is our country, you know? This is the principles that make our country great. This is free speech. This is national competitiveness. This is driving, right? His third priority is setting the standard for all other nations to adopt artificial intelligence. We're setting the rules, we're setting the practices for the entire world, right? Like, this is a big deal. And that's super exciting as a developer, as a practitioner, as an implementer, and hopefully in the future as a policy writer in the White House Fellows. So we'll see. I want to be a part of this. America's AI action plan has 3 pillars: innovation, infrastructure, and international diplomacy and security. I didn't realize they were all I's, but that's pretty good. The United States needs to innovate faster and more comprehensively than our competitors in the development and distribution of new AI technologies in every field, and dismantle unnecessary regulatory barriers that hinder the private sector in doing so. So, interestingly enough, I think this is going to be a huge criticism. I would expect this to be a huge criticism of the current office, depending on how this plays out. But the reality is the private sector is driving this. And there's some really cool innovations that happened on the government side, but it's not. I don't think it's the way we're going. I don't think it's. What they're doing makes sense. I'll put it that way. As President Vance remarked at the Paris AI Summit, restricting AI development with onerous regulation would only unfairly benefit incumbents. It would mean penalizing one of the most promising technologies we have seen in generations. What are incumbents? So he's saying AI restriction only benefits the people in office. It would actually cripple the technologies development and the people that want access to this. It's an interesting thing. That is why President Trump rescinded the Biden administration's dangerous actions on day one. That'd be something I could look into, is what dangerous actions were there? We need to build and maintain a vast AI infrastructure and energy to power it. To do that, we will continue to reject radical climate dogma and bureaucratic red tape. as the administration has done since Inauguration Day. Simply put, we need to build, baby, build. So, radical climate dogma and bureaucratic red tape. Just an interesting thing. And I think the world of like PR is fascinating. But if you look at, let's do it this way. If you look at this, they just say removing red tape and onerous regulation. In the document, when they're actually speaking their mind for those that care, radical climate dogma and bureaucratic red tape. And I think what they mean by this term isn't just climate change in general, but there is this wave of, let's put it this way. I was in a physics class, and it was on high energy lasers. And I was speaking with the instructor. He said there's always going. He was talking about how the production of energy. And I asked him, like, hey, is there a way we can transcend this limitation of energy being needed from a specific source? Like we burn something, we emit pollutants. They call it in that class like aerosols. One of the things just within the atmosphere that hinders lasers traveling is they call them aerosols, but just anything in the air that blocks the light from freely flowing. And he made a comment about just we need aerosols to produce energy. And funny enough, he said, I've noticed when I switch to an electric mower instead of a gas-powered mower, he said, I get a worse sunburn. And the reason is because even though it's just a tiny bit, those gases actually block the sun. But it's a requirement of the production of energy, because we're humans and we're consumers, that we will produce aerosols in exchange for energy. And I asked him, I said, is there a way to transcend that? And he said, we already have. That's what nuclear was. And he said, there's a very solid argument for people that believe that are very pro-climate. And the argument is, if you actually care about the climate, embrace nuclear. But there's a mismatch between the people who care about the world and the people that care about nuclear adoption. Somehow those aren't the same people. And I think that's what they mean by radical climate dogma. I don't think it's actually just anyone who's concerned about climate change, right? Because that's most people, and from what statistics say. Non-nuclear adoption, then okay. Oh, I gotta get my kid. Okay. Let's get situated. Okay, let's keep going. We need to establish American AI from our advanced. We need to establish American AI from our advanced semiconductors to our models and our applications as the gold standard for AI worldwide and ensure our allies are building on American technology. Baby girl. All right. I think I'm gonna have to end it in a second, but I'm getting a like a flow. You know, I feel like this is I feel like we're figuring this out. So, um, well, we can finish real quick. We need to establish American AI from our advanced semiconductors to our models, applications. It's a gold standard for AI worldwide. This will ensure our allies are building on American technology. Several principles cut across three pillars. Um, okay. I'm going to go ahead and end it, and we'll start chopping up some shorts. If you find this interesting, thanks for checking it out.